So if you have got any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. I won't dwell too long on that. But unfortunately, last week we missed out on our round pin seminar. So we kind of missed that one out, but we tacked it on to the end of the series in a couple of months' time, so we can go back to that one. This evening, we're going to have a chat about working in the arena. If you're in England, many of you know that during the winter especially, it's important that you have an arena to work in. Otherwise, it's really difficult to work your horse. The unfortunate thing is that we don't get to get out much in the sort of open countryside or out on the roads as much as you'd like. It's quite dangerous, but using the arena to full effect is what we're going to talk about tonight. So it'll be groundwork and also your wooden work. I know a lot of people have problems in the arena with their horses not concentrating or spooking in a corner. You normally get the spooky corner. So we'll talk about that a bit too. But first and most importantly, I wanted to talk about getting your horse to relax in the arena. So as most of you know, I'm a big advocate for groundwork and working your horse on the ground. So being able to work your horse in the arena and going through the groundwork program in the arena, getting relaxation and connection in the arena on the ground is obviously my first port of call. So the exercises that we do, excuse me if anyone else logs in, I might just got to let them know to talk. There we go. So yeah, using our groundwork techniques in the arena and then also stretching it to putting down poles, for example, or cones and developing patterns in the arena. All that initial stuff for me is done on the ground. So I'm actually making sure that my horse is connected, communicating, and efficient at all the groundwork exercises I lay down for it. But also start to put up things for them to go over, under, through, different obstacles to do, different patterns to do. We'll talk about patterns in a second. But it's really important that the groundwork is the first place that I'll start working with my horse in the arena. My first thing that I like to do when I get in the arena is teach my horse how to relax in the arena. I see a lot of the time that we go into the arena and we just get straight into work. So we warm our horse up and off we go. And often the horse is not connected because we haven't done our groundwork, but being connected is the most important thing, and then relaxation in the arena. So I spend a lot of time getting my horse to relax in the arena so that it finds a place of relaxation as well as work. But just finding a place of relaxation is critical so that the horse can relax, whether it's on the ground or ridden. I've always got a safe place to go and relax my horse when I'm working in the arena. So that's really, really important to me, and getting that, because I've worked with some of I haven't worked with, but getting that relaxation in the arena can take a bit of work, but it's all done from the ground first. For example, if I wanted to then progress to getting my horse to go over jumps or poles, I start to put those down and get my horse doing all that. So my horse is efficient at whatever I'm doing, whatever discipline I'm doing on the ground with transitions or with jumping or whatever the case may be, going over poles, around cones, doing my figures. The horse is really efficient, safe, feeling safe, connected, and able to cope with that environment as we add on more and more to the training. So that's really, really important for me. Obviously, in the arena, once we start riding, we want to develop our transitions. We want to develop our patterns. There's several patterns that I use in the arena, especially for a horse that's maybe a young horse that's running on too much, maybe just speeding up in the arena. I divide my arena up, for example, into a cloverleaf pattern. And I've drawn a little diagram. I'll show you that if any of you are interested in that. I can pop that through to you. But, I use a cloverleaf pattern. I've got a little diagram that I drew here. I don't know if you can see that. There. It's if you're interested, I can send that to you. But it's important that you see what I'm talking about, so I can talk you through it. But this would be done on the left rein and the right rein, at a walk, trot, and then at a canter, so that I can easily transition through. The X in the middle is where I teach my horse to stop. So after I've done this pattern many times and stop at X, my horse starts to understand when I quit riding. So in essence, I can take X with me. So first of all, I teach a horse to stop in a certain spot, which is X in my cloverleaf pattern. And then I take the X with me, literally, so I can stop anywhere. It's also a really good technique to teach the horse to slow down, especially if your horse is running, and you haven't got much control over the canter. The cloverleaf pattern is a brilliant pattern to use for slowing things down. And eventually my horse will be asking me to stop when I get to X. I've just been told to slow down. I'm speaking too fast this evening. So, sorry about that. Is there any questions on the cloverleaf pattern or any of the groundwork that we do? Any questions? Debbie.
It's Debbie here. Hi, Wayne. I've done the cloverleaf pattern with Rolo. I've done it in walk. I have quite a lot of trouble because he's more woe than go in trying to get him to maintain a trot throughout that whole pattern. But I guess that's something for me to practice. I like it because if I don't go in the school with an idea of what I'm doing, then neither of us do anything. Patterns are a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And the figure eight pattern that we did on the ground, have you managed to ride that?
Yeah, well, I know because obviously since I last saw you, he's been on this field rest thing. I'm hoping I'll be able to start getting back into that again, though. Yeah, but no, that's really good.
Yeah, and also obviously when you do your ridden work, your figure eight pattern, also being able to canter a 25-foot circle or a little smaller if you're into western and that sort of thing, on the loose rein.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to get your help to do that because I haven't even cantered yet, really. So I need to get that, go back to basics, I think, with him.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going to bring him back into groundwork soon?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a little bit. It's all been in straight lines, really, and bending because he's on, really limited work. But I'll have a conversation with Vet tomorrow, and I'd like to start bringing him back into more groundwork. The school where we are, as you know, is not the best surface. It's that sort of broken up tyres, so it's a little uneven. If he's got issues with a stifle joint, I'm guessing that's not the best. But there's a field down the bottom which is quite good going that I could, if I could persuade him not to stop and eat the grass, I think that would be a good place
to go to. Yeah, and you've also got a round pin there with sand round.
Yeah, that's sand. Yeah, so that's interesting to know what sorts of things I could do in there. Obviously, we've taken him there. At the moment, I don't know about smaller circles, but the bigger circles, I'm hoping the vet will give me the okay to do some gentle work in there.
Yeah, brilliant. So ultimately, with our patterns, for our circle work, we want to be able to basically canter a 25-foot circle without our rein. So once we get our horse bending and canter circle. I want to be able to canter that circle without actually having to hold the rein on my horse. And that's how many times I repeat it. I don't want to overkill it, but it's important that my horse can pick up that canter circle and not fall in or out without me even, with one rein to start with. So we'll get there.
I hope so. That seems like a dream at the moment, but yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Okay, anyone else got any questions? No? Okay, so a couple of the other, there's another pattern, obviously the figure eight pattern, so it's quite simple really, but just putting down a couple of cones, and you can decide the sort of distance that you want to do your canter figure eight circle and lead chains on that. Obviously, it depends on the horse's ability, fitness, and age too sometimes. So these sorts of things, you've got to be careful. You've got to gauge that you're not overdoing your horse. And just getting your horse into a position where it can understand what you're asking for. Obviously, we want to develop balance, coordination, and athleticism in the horse. So the surface is also an important part of the equation. I'm not an expert on surfaces. I like a medium surface, not too soft, not too hard. Obviously, because I don't want to get tendon stretch and problems with tendons. But there's a variety of different surfaces out there. And if you're going to a show or something, and you've been, for example, practicing on a certain type of surface, and go to show to a different type of surface, you can often get injury problems and balance and coordination problems. So those are always things to consider when you're competing, especially at a top level. Is your surface and protecting your horse against injuries. So that's not an easy one, and it's not a topic I want to really get in depth with. I want to talk more about developing balance, coordination, and athleticism in our horse in the arena. So through those base patterns that I use, we develop that. But obviously, it's developing as a rider your balance, coordination, timing. It's all done in the arena. And then hopefully from there, if you're in a good place, you can go canter across the downs, no problem, and stop your horse. But a lot of the time I see in the arenas, I've seen quite a lot. There's people riding around the arena without horses focused. So there's spooking in the corners. There's horses taking off. The lack of focus is the biggest problem I see. And we're tackling that one horse at a time, and especially with the ground work, because that's where we get the focus and the connection. And then if I've got that, then I'll sit on my horse and do my arena work. Also great, obviously in the arena, developing your cues and refining your cues, which are many. I'm not going to go over all of those now, but developing your cues in the arena, but primarily focusing on that horse is focused, connected, and feeling safe, and just a repetition of teaching the horse to do lateral work, hindquarter yielding, side passing. I often use the side of the arena for my bend and my turn. A lot of people turn circles into the arena, that's part of one of the patterns I use. But I also teach my horse to turn into the side of the arena so that I can get a nice sharp turn if I'm looking at Western type riding anyway, or polo cross or something like that. But it's important that I've got a nice flex and bend on my horse. So I often use the sides of the arena to develop that. Without a video, it's pretty hard to show you, but I'm sure you get an idea of that. Also developing suppleness, engagement, collection, and progressively schooling your horse in the arena. One of the things that I've developed over the years and have a better understanding of is allowing my horse time to think, to relax, and to focus on the task at hand. Giving relaxation time, often I'll give more time for the thinking side of what I've just been teaching my horse. I'll spend more time letting it think about what we're doing, and each horse is different, and giving them the amount of time they need is really important to be able to gauge that, and through experience you're able to gauge what the horse needs and when it needs it, and obviously not flooding your horse with too much information or too much stimulus. If your horse is walking or trotting or cantering around the arena, it's not focused on you, it's looking around, it's neighing, pulling on the reins. There's a focus issue there. A lot of us, people I've dealt with, often have the scary corner in the arena, and getting through that. Mostly I would do that on the ground first, so that the horse can cope with what's going on. It's often where there's a hedge, where they can't see behind the hedge. So desensitizing your horse, which all comes back to groundwork, making sure you desensitize your horse. But first and foremost, that you have a connection where the horse is actually connected with you, and not not going around the arena with its head out, ears out, focused outwardly from the arena. And, it's not easy to do, but I think with the groundwork, this is where the key is to all this being safe in the arena. It's definitely in the groundwork. So